never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, degenerate sleuths of the night. We gather to boldly go where others have refused. Welcome to the DT Show, you salty mofos.
A man accused of killing 4 college students is behind bars, and he has ties to northeastern and central Pennsylvania. State police say 28-year-old Bryan Kohberger was arrested this morning at a home in Chestnut Hill Township.
I can't find any case law that would support that idea. That somehow a warrant would be needed for DNA left at a crime scene.
We are expecting to learn more about the allegations against the girlfriend of a Boston police officer who was found unresponsive in the snow Saturday morning. I-Team sources say Karen Reed was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
So, the Commonwealth just provided the court with information that causes me grave concern. The implications of that information may have profound effects on this defense and defense counsel.
So, get your popcorn ready and your choice of drink. Get your butt on your seat. Like, comment, and subscribe for a treat. Here we go. It's time for the show. The Drunk Turkey Show.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the DT Show. Hope everybody's having a great end of their week. It's Friday, finally Fridays. Thank God it's Friday. Weekend is now here, so hope everybody's ready and prepared to go. I have a pretty busy one myself. Tomorrow I'll be doing a workouting, gonna go take some pictures with the family and Santa and things of that nature. So looking forward to it myself, but I do plan on probably doing a live tomorrow night. There's been some breaking news in the Melody Buzzard case. Her mom, Ashley Buzzard, has been arrested on unrelated charges. My opinion, it's because they need to hold her. I think they got some video and surveillance of her getting some moving boxes and things of that nature, and they don't want her to go anywhere. So that kind of alludes to mean a few things to me, in my opinion. And so we'll talk about those things tomorrow night. I'm also going to talk about probably the Jack and Lily Sullivan disappearance. And then Tuesday night, we're going to have Dr. Vona, who's going to be the guest of tonight's show, back on. And we're going to be talking about either the Melody Buzzard or the Bryan Kohberger case, one of the two. But without further ado, we're going to talk tonight about Antonio Brown and the craziness that he's gotten himself involved into again. And we have a great guest, Dr. Vona. Welcome to the show, Doctor. And please tell, for those that are watching for the first time, a little bit about yourself.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome tonight. I'm Dr. Vona. I'm a professor. I've been teaching for 22 years. I teach a million things in psychology. I have my bachelor's and master's in counseling psychology and human behavior, and I have a specialization in marriage and family therapy, and I have a doctorate in educational leadership, and I did my dissertation on the effects of media messages on the identity development of young adult learners, and now I'm doing YouTube. How about you? What's up with you? Why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Well, this is the DT Show. I've covered a lot of true crime. Former law enforcement, covered true crime. We've talked about the Richard Allen case, Bryan Kohberger case, for those watching for the first time as well. I have interviewed many in the Bryan Kohberger case, from victims' family members to renowned authors that have been covering the case, to other YouTubers and other mainstream media personalities such as Anjanette Levy from Crime Fix, on the channel to cover the Bryan Kohberger case, as long also as yourself, Steve from True Crime Web, who is a former CSI. I've also had Jennifer Coffindaffer, former retired FBI agent, on the channel as well to cover several of the cases. We talked about Melody Buzzard last night. And so, you know, kind of focusing in on that type of genre. And I'm actually a pretty big Steelers fan. And so when Antonio Brown got arrested or was charged, for one, I was a little bit surprised, but not surprised. He's been dealing with things for a while. You know, he took a pretty big hit, several big hits, to be honest with you. And he's kind of associated some of the problems that he's had, his legal problems, with CTE, which I'm sure you can tell us a lot better than what I can. What is CTE?
So, well, how about we do this? Why don't we wait for when I have like a little slideshow that I put together and I explain everything there. That way I'm not, but CTE, it's a brain disease that we see not in just NFL players, but we see this in many athletes. And the other thing is, I learned so much about this today. Like, I've been doing stuff on this all day long to get prepared for tonight. So I included a lot of research in the slideshow that I'm going to do. And I don't want to go, like, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but my slideshow is going to be on brain health, identity, and the psychology of acting out. And I explain it all in there.
Okay.
But it is a brain disease, and it eats away at like your frontal lobe and your the part of the brain that houses decision-making, impulse control, problem solving, and then the hippocampus, which is the part of the brain that houses emotion. I mean, that houses memory. The amygdala houses emotion. But they're the parts of the brain that are affected. And because of that, if you have an affected, you know, part of your frontal lobe, you're going to be less likely to make the decisions that you would make. So proper decisions or decisions, you're more impulsive.
Rational.
Yes.
Perfect. So, you know, I didn't know the entire scope of it. I knew that it caused some issues, mental health issues and things of that nature. I didn't know how specific it was. That's thank you for that. Explanation.
I did find a positive correlation between mental health issues and the onset of CTE. So it stands for chronic traumatic encephalopathy. So, and it's like, you know how Alzheimer's and dementia eats away at your brain? Well, think of it that way. So it's like eating away those parts of the brain that I was talking about before. So it's like a dementia. And again, it's not just in football players, it's in hockey players, wrestlers, a lot of people that are exposed to especially repeated brain collide, if you will.
Collisions. Gotcha.
Yeah, collisions. Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, and he has had some major ones, and there's one that's in particular that's more famous than others. But before we get into that, let's talk about the most recent news. What he's being charged. What are the offense? What are the charges? Why he's being charged? We'll look at some videos, and then we'll break down your slide. So, former NFL player Antonio Brown will return to Miami from New Jersey after deciding to not contest his extradition to Florida on an attempted murder charge, officials said Friday. Brown, 37, was brought into a jail in Essex County, New Jersey, after his arrest by U.S. Marshals in Dubai. He waived his extradition at a brief court hearing Friday. Brown is back in Essex County Jail in New York. Sorry about that. New York. I don't know why when I say that I want to say New York so bad.
Newark.
New York. Sorry if you're from there. I apologize for butchering that up. Where he is awaiting the pickup by Florida authorities. According to an arrest warrant, Brown is accused of grabbing a gun from a security officer after a celebrity boxing match on May 16th and firing 2 shots at a man he had gotten into a fist fight with earlier. Victim Zawul Kwame Nantutambu told investigators one of the bullets actually grazed his neck. There's some video that's been obtained by social media of Brown and firing his weapon and things of that nature. Now, Antonio Brown, he's basically gone to social media and things like that and said that he was defending himself, that it was an attempted robbery, and that he shot back Well, we're gonna watch this, but I'm gonna just kind of play clips of it just because YouTube will they'll hit us with a violent thing.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, because I've shown the clip of we're talking about the Tupac murders one time, me and the guys, and we showed the clip of him and his entourage beating up Orlando Brown, and boom, YouTube gave us a strike for showing violence. So we're gonna do it. You know, we're not gonna play what's going on. I'm gonna just do some screen grabs. So here he is. He's surrounded by a few people. This is him. Let me make this bigger. He's up against the wall, and there are a few people that are striking him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really blurry.
But this is the fight that preceded the shooting, right?
Correct. So he gets into a fight, and he's saying that they tried to rob him, and then a bodyguard actually pulls him down. This is a bodyguard of his. He's so engulfed into the fight, he tries to kick his own bodyguard, or he actually does kick his own bodyguard. And see, here's him. This is Antonio Brown kicking his own bodyguard. And that's probably the best picture. And so now he's been separated. And this is where Antonio Brown is probably made, obviously has made his mistake, because a lot of people might say, well, he's defending himself. They're robbing him. They're trying to take his jewelry. Here's where the issue comes in is he goes and gets his gun and then goes back and then shoots off at him.
Did he get it from his security or another? What security? Because he grabs it off of someone. Like, that's not his gun. He gets that off of someone, which makes it even more. Yeah. I don't know.
Good catch. I didn't even see that. But yeah,
I wonder if that's his or.
And so he chases the guy back, and he chases him down and then shoots at him and grazes his neck. And so that ends up being what the case is against him. And the evidence against him, even more so, is here. He was doing a live stream with another guy, Aiden something or another. Goes by Aiden Clips. Aiden Ross. And so I'm going to unmute this. And this is right after the shooting.
You can't take him down. You can't take down AB. I can smile now, man. You can't take down AB.
I'm scared for you, brother.
God is great.
God is great. Alhamdulillah.
I ain't gonna lie, you look like a badass though.
You know, I get it cracking with Liberty City. Yeah. Liberty City came out today.
They couldn't get the chain. They couldn't.
Nah, this thing.
They try to take it. What the f? They actually try to take it. Yeah, he already knew what it was, but
that's crazy.
Thank God, bro. The right calls were made. All y'all gotta know, man. This man is yeah, he's him. Oh God, he got aura. AB, you think you got aura? AB, they want to know if you want to do a quick story time on you though.
Nah, it ain't no story time.
Nah, not at all. No. Yeah, Charles is right. Nah, no story time.
Hey, listen.
Yo, there you.
Hey, County, Liberty City.
Yo, that's all you gotta say.
So he's talking about the place that he reps. I'm gonna mute this so he can talk. He's talking about the place that he reps, which is known, I think, Liberty City, Florida, which is known to be very violent. A lot of criminal activity has occurred there. A lot of shootings, things of that nature, and so kind of alluding to being in that type of lifestyle. What do you think?
So I never saw this. This was right after.
This is right after. There was a celebrity boxing match, and then he went to this Aiden Ross, and they were there all day. I think he was looking at highlights earlier in the day. They were streaming, and then he goes outside and they jump him outside of this guy's place. It was like outside of his place. And so he comes back in and they're streaming. And
oh, so this is after the fight, but before the...
No, this is right after the shooting.
The shooting. So I don't know. Okay, so in here, I feel like the friends or whoever the people are that he's streaming with, I feel like because they're like, you know, I think they're like playing into the fact that he was defending himself. Right. And I'm sure he has a lot of yes people around him too. And I wonder if that plays into his behavior. But if he does have something like CTE, he could just, I don't know, there's a few videos, I sent you one of where like he's saying one sentence and then goes to something else, but not like an ADHD way, like where he doesn't remember what he was just talking about. So even here, I feel like he looks a little confused, but that just might be me.
Mm-hmm. It could be. What do you think about the age of the people that are in the in here? He's 37, and these folks look in their 20s.
Again, yes, men. So these people are most likely to do whatever it is that he wants because of accessibility and stuff like that, in my opinion.
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, this is his reaction after nearly taking the life of somebody, hitting somebody in the throat or in the neck, grazing him with a round.
He did say that he thought that they were trying to steal his necklace. Do we know if that's real? Or if that's true, like if he really did, because the other guy said that that's a lie, but I don't know if anybody gets that part on there, like if he has evidence of that.
He's claiming that that was the case. That's what he said. That's what he said in his social media. He goes that they were trying to rob him. The problem with that is in the when it comes to a crime or elements of self-defense, you can defend yourself, but the moment that the interaction has ceased, like for instance, if somebody came at you and they have a weapon in their hand and you fear for your life and they come towards you, you have a right to defend yourself. Now, this is in certain places too. I know certain states are a lot more strict than others. You may be finding yourself in trouble just for possessing a gun, even if you were in the right to have used it. But in Texas, for instance, if I have a weapon and somebody's coming at me with a bat, I can defend myself. Now, if I pull out my weapon and the guy stops and drops the bat, I no longer can shoot him anymore. That the threat is no longer there. And so in this scenario here, the threat had already stopped. The fight had stopped. They were already separated. So this is now a second criminal event that is occurring. Him retrieving the weapon and then going back in retaliation for the fight, which on its own it's its own charges and things of that nature. So to me, I understand, maybe perhaps he would have had a better defense if he would have, fired the shots during the commission of the robbery, but that wasn't the case. You know what I mean?
And the guy was running away. Like he literally ran away and he runs after him. So I believe that that's not, that doesn't fall under like the protection or the self-defense laws. Right. When somebody's running away, like you said, they're no longer a threat. That guy was running away. So if he didn't run after him, the guy would have ran away and that probably would have been the end of it. Although in order to successfully charge him with attempted murder, and we have Travis in the chat, so maybe he can help us if we need it. But I believe you have to show intent that the person meant to kill them. So my thing is, how do you form and how do we prove that somebody, I could say, oh, Daniel, I know you did that because of da-da-da. But if you're like, nah, how do we prove that that's not true?
Now, this would be a good question for a lawyer, but the way I would try to articulate this is that there is such a thing as murder too, where the action a reasonable person would believe could result in death. And if, for instance, even if his intent in that motion, in this moment here, wasn't let's just say he got mad. You're facing the gun, you're pointing at a gun at somebody and you're pulling the trigger. It's kind of hard to to defend, to be honest with you. But
100%.
You know, he could argue all this stuff that he's saying, but at the end of the day, you face the gun in the direction of somebody and you pull the trigger.
And he took the gun off of someone else.
Correct.
That in itself is problematic. The fact that like he thought in that split second to grab someone else's weapon and then chase someone else down with it and shoot them twice, like that in itself, like it just shows a lack of impulse control and decision making.
And he's done a lot of things like that. You know, there's been a lot of he stripped down at a football game, and you know, in his last game, and waved goodbye. He had an incident with.
I saw that. I saw a video of that today. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I mean, he's done some other stuff. Let me pull up this. I think it talked a little bit about. Let me pull this up here. So he was also charged with accused of battery with a moving truck driver, several domestic violence charges, failure to pay child support, and other incidences. The battery with a moving truck driver, what he did was he threw gummy bears or gummies that were shaped like male genitalia at the truck driver. Like, who has those on them?
I was just gonna say that. I'm like trying to wait until you stop talking, but I'm like busting at the seams. Like, who the hell? Like, who just has them?
I hope it wasn't just like eating them.
I know. What did you do today? I ate, Dick.
He's just there. It's like, maybe he likes the way they taste. I don't know. Maybe he likes
I don't know.
It's a texture thing. I don't know. But he just so happened to have a bag. You know, like I said, me and I cover the Steelers on Still Current Network, and the guys there, they called them Richard gummies or Richard something gummies. I can't remember how, but it was funny because it was a whole thing because that had happened, and I
just got that. It took me a minute. I just got that. The Richard one. I'm like, Richard. It took me a minute to get that. I got it.
But yeah, that's what he did there. He had another situation where he exposed himself to like a group of people at in a pool in a public place, and so yeah, he's kind of gone off the deep end, you know, several times. But yeah,
a lot of the things though I saw today, they say that like a lot of this happened after, and I don't know if you saw this, but after that one hit. Are we going to show that hit? That was a crazy hit.
Yeah, I have it right here. Let me pull it up real quick. And again, I'm gonna show the all right, so I can only play this in small increments because YouTube will get me for the dang copyright. Let me mute it. So Antonio Brown goes up, and this is kind of like, I guess, when everybody says he lost it. Now I got a little bit more background information, but this is the hit he took. The guy collided with his head, knocked him out. He's asleep.
Oh my God.
And so, you know, just kind of this was a playoff game. Antonio Brown ended up not playing the next game, which sucked because the Steelers ended up losing. Had Antonio Brown played the next game, the Steelers probably go to the Super Bowl that year. But
that's a hard hit, though. He took a hard hit.
Oh, yeah. Now, for CTE, now I know this isn't your expertise or your field, but can CTE develop off of just one hit?
So it happens more often, from what I read today. It happens more often from like a bunch of hits over time. However, it also said that if you get 1,000 small hits, that's just as bad. So I think everybody is looking out for these big hits. I know I was today. I was looking for these types of hits, and I found a lot of them. But even the people that aren't getting hits or concussions like this, they're still finding CTE in their brain scans when they have 1,000 small subconcussive, they call them blows.
Mm.
So even though, so I would argue that this isn't the only blow that his brain has took this whole time, and even for the smaller ones, they all add up over time. And the research also showed that the more you play and the higher up you went, as far as like up to like the NFL, the more you had an increased risk of developing CTE. So I guess the more playtime, I guess you have the better guys out there. So when you're getting hit by like a massive person, as opposed to, you know, if you were playing little leagues. But either way, even little leagues and doing it all throughout your childhood, it's saying even here that that's not good. So I think we have to like look at it, you know what I mean, differently now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I played football for many years, and
that's what happened. No,
there's a few times, I'm not gonna lie, where I saw stars after hitting somebody pretty hard. One time, man, we were doing an Oklahoma drill, and which is basically where you lay down, one person, you're facing away from each other, you get up head on. And when I was going, I actually tripped like right before and kind of really fell forward into the dude. And I mean, I hit him. I mean, I nailed him hard, and he went back, fell down. And but I was dizzy. Like I was like, holy.
I think that's a good point, right? So it's not even just the person that you hit. I'm sure the other person that hits you also gets hurt too at the same time. And I don't even think I was thinking of it that way. But even a bunch of those types of hits over time. I mean, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I can imagine, because I've had maybe like 2 or 3 of those probably throughout and I only played to high school, so throughout your brain high school career.
Your brain doesn't stop developing until you're like 25, and the part that keeps developing is the frontal lobe, which is the part that's affected here. Yeah. So that makes me wonder, like from birth to 25, how much damage is happening in kids in that particular age range, as opposed to just people that go to college or, NFL or something like that after.
God. Yeah, no, they're absolutely right. I mean, the hits too are more violent, obviously. Let's see. Somebody said, you're a Ravens fan. A Ravens fan? Hold on.
Sorry to hear that.
You sure about that?
Eagles fan. I'm an Eagles fan.
They're talking about you.
I know. I'm just saying. That's why I said sorry to hear that, but I was just joking.
I had to bring out my background for my Steelers now. Just making sure.
Oh, there you go. Look at you representing.
I have to always. I mean, Antonio Brown is making us look bad, but it's okay. He was an amazing player when he was. But the thing is, I don't even know that it's necessarily like making somebody look bad, in the fact that, like, you have to remember, we're there for it for the good. Like, we want to see all the times he catches the ball and intercepts and does all these things. But now that he's gotten hit in the head all these times, and he might have CTE, which we really won't know until post-mortem. So after you die, that's when we really figure it out. So my thing is, like, and I bring up Aaron Hernandez in my slideshow, but with him, he has stage 4 CT or something. He has like one of the highest stages, and he was one of the youngest. So I don't know. My thing is, shouldn't we be supporting? I know that what he did is terrible. That's not what I mean. But shouldn't we be making sure that not just him, but that we're providing, like, when you get treatment before something happens, preventative treatment. Now, could he be using CTE as a excuse?
I have to be honest with you. I didn't know that he was. So this was I got all of this, like, where I suspected CTE here. And again, you guys, this is my opinion. I'm a research psychologist, not a medical doctor, let alone a neurologist. But I do deal with the brain and stuff like that. So all the research I did, I understood what it meant to have a deteriorating frontal lobe. I understand what it is to have dementia, and all of those other things. So I feel like, I don't know. I feel like we need to, I forget exactly what your question was. I just had an ADHD moment today. Maybe I have CTE.
See, he uses CTE as a
oh, that's what it was. I'm sorry.
almost as an excuse.
Yeah.
I mean, even he's created something called CTESPN. That is a that's his Twitter thing that's going on now. You know, and Christy brings up an excellent point. Isn't there only the test that can diagnose CTE be done? You know, there isn't a test while they're alive. That has to
No, it's post-mortem. So that's my thing. What are we going to wait until he dies before we back him? And we're like, oh, we should have. So, and him and others, not just him. And again, I'm not excusing bad behavior here. I'm just saying that I feel like there were many times before this incident that, you know, who's responsible for making sure that because this isn't going to be the last time this happens.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's been a lot,
and not just with him, with other people. So like, you know, how does what role does the team, what role should they take in preventative care?
I mean, just with the Steelers alone, you have Mike Webster, who ended up committing suicide. He ended up having CTE. There was another offensive lineman who was losing it, and I think he took his family hostage, and he was a Steelers player too. And then, you know, you have, I think everybody's pointing at Antonio Brown. Now, I don't know if he has it or not. Obviously, nobody can tell. You know, Ron comes in with $5 saying, "Fly, Eagles, fly."
Yes, Eagles fan. And there's Ken Stauber, Demarius Thomas, Dave Dorson. I did my research. Junior, SEAU. I don't know how to spell that, but CTE is confirmed. He also suicide at 43. And then Aaron Hernandez, who had stage 3. That's what it was, which is extreme pathology for his age. He became violent and then also complete suicide. Same thing with the junior. So that one, oh my God, these all are. Dave Dorson, suicide. They all are.
Yeah. Pretty
much. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's dangerous. And you know, like I said, he uses it, he promotes it, he says that he has it. I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be a big part of his defense, is that he suffered through multiple concussions and things of that nature. You know, I mean, there's a whole movie on it, you know, called Concussion, about Mike Webster and a doctor out of the Pittsburgh area who has done a lot of amazing things when it comes to concussions and the study of and implementing rules in the NFL to minimize them. Now, you're not going to get them out of the game completely, but I think they've done quite a bit to minimize the, you know, the concussions. And then I think they've also done and taken a lot of steps in regulating players once they've been identified to have had a concussion. Before, you know, they would just kind of take the player's word for it. You feeling better? Yeah. All right, get out there. And then repeated hits to the head again. Now they have to pass certain concussion protocols and things of that nature before they can see the field again. And if they have, if they go into a protocol, there's a lot of steps that have to be taken before they can even practice and things like that.
This makes me wonder though, how many guys now get hit though, and they maybe don't complain as much because they might be afraid that they're going to get, you know, benched or whatever you would call it for football for the next week or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So how many people are not getting diagnosed that maybe should be getting concussion care, but maybe they're not because they're downplaying it because they don't want to get, you know, put on the sidelines for the next week.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit that still get away with it, and you know, that fall through the cracks. But now the NFL has neutral neuropathic doctors that are monitoring for symptoms of concussions. You know, when they see somebody even just hit the ground with their head wrong, they'll pull them out of the game and follow the concussion protocol. They'll stop the game. They'll put them in a blue tent. And basically what the concussion protocol, you know, has is that there's a test that, you know, these players are doing before the season starts and things of that nature, and like a cognitive test, and they have to score very similar or the same to pass. If they don't, then they won't let them in, and they have to go through further evaluations and things like that.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. I also think, so that I don't forget, oh, Lucas Squirrel brings up a good point. We did a live not too long ago, and veterans have this. A lot of veterans have this from the explosions that they experience while they're, serving our country. So while they're being brave so we could be free. But the thing is that now that I did this research today on how many of them take their own lives, when we were doing the live about the vets, it was upwards of, oh my God, people have to remind me. Was it 88 Squirrel? I forget how many a day. No, it was like, there were so many. Oh, look, a Squirrel, tell us how many veterans a day take their own lives in our country. So not at war, like that are here. And I didn't realize the high correlation, that there was such a correlation. I knew there was with violence and like acting out, but I didn't realize the suicide risk and how much more increased that was with CTE. Yeah.
Yeah, no, veterans, there's that's a big thing, suicide among veterans. There's a hotlines and stuff like that. I know that there's certain veteran companies that also support awareness for veteran suicide prevention and things like that. It's a staggering number when it comes to veterans. It's unfortunate that they don't get the help that they deserve, after serving the country. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely. I had my mic muted. I apologize. Yes, I totally. 17.6 is what Steelers fan says.
Yeah. I'm not sure what she's referring to, but yeah.
How many veterans take their lives a day?
Is that a day?
A day, yes. Oh, and I feel like when I did it, it might have been, 17.6. That's exactly what I just looked into. Yep, as of 2022.
There you go. That's too many. Way too many. Way too many. All right. So he's going to be, let's listen to this. There's about 2 more minutes of this and just kind of see what he says. Because at the end of the day, I think a lot of this is going to be used against him.
I saw you guys say, AB.
I know it's talking. Thanks for inviting me tonight, though.
Love you, bro. Thank you, bro. I'm so sorry.
Hey, the champ right here. Hey, yo, champ.
Oblivion.
Come on, Vivian. Good shit tonight. This is the real champ right here.
Sir, 3-0.
Good shit. 3-0, bro. Good show. Where to fight, bro. Young and champion.
Nice meeting you.
Big heart, bro.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I had just clapped you up outside. You saw that shit, right?
And then right after I saw what happened to you.
What happened?
Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened. We left some blood out there, huh?
Huh?
Out there bleeding.
It's ketchup. Nothing. I didn't see.
Yeah, ketchup.
Yeah, I got CT. I blacked out. I don't know why. I blacked out, dude. I blacked out, Aiden.
I know you did.
I know what happened.
I know.
Your eyes, man.
So he says, I had CTE. I blacked out. I don't know what happened. Do you buy it? What he's saying there?
So I have to be honest with you. I didn't know that he says this, and it makes me feel a little bit better about the fact that I surmise that he may too. So I don't know, because one of the studies that I read shows that a lot of the players that are asked, that about, I think it was like 33% believe that they have it. So it wouldn't, could he be using it as an excuse? Absolutely. But the thing is that there's so many that when they die and they, put their brains, they give their brains to the brain bank, show that they do have it. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's talked about it with him before. And if he's been like, yeah, you know what I mean? Or maybe he's noticed the memory loss and things like that.
It could be. Now, okay, so he's getting jumped. It would be a high stressful situation. Is blacking out in a scenario like that a symptom of CTE from your studies that you did today? I know it's not a lot. No, it's not your specialty. But is that something that you commonly saw?
Well, okay, so this is the thing. So I don't remember exactly seeing blackouts. What I do remember, though, is a loss of memory and dementia-like features. So, and I think that explains a lot of what we see sometimes, and even that impulsivity and irritability, so mood disturbances. And I think that's what we see here too, but completely blacking out, I don't know that I read anything with that. I mean, if somebody knows something different, please let us know. but I have seen like memory loss and stuff of that nature, and even like impulsivity or perceptual changes, meaning that he could have perceived his life in danger in that moment, and then just acted very impulsively. And again, I am not excusing behavior. He obviously most likely did this. They have it on tape. So I'm not excusing the behavior, but I'm saying that we need to do something before people get to this point.
I mean, he's saying that he saw blood.
People are saying it's not a symptom. I didn't think so. I didn't read anything.
And he's saying he saw blood. So I don't know how you can refer to what you're saying about the guy bleeding and the guy, you know, talking about the guy bleeding and saying, oh, I blacked out. It sounds selective.
Very, very selective. And could the other thing be that he knows about CTE and stuff, and he knows that he probably, you know, that there's a good chance that he has it, and maybe he's using that along with other manipulative factors to try to get away with it? Absolutely. So it's like he could be using it knowing that, you know, trying to use it as an excuse, but missing the mark because blacking out isn't part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Not looking good. Not looking good.
It came out.
Bring it up, bro. Hey, it was his security guard. But he,
one of them niggas, I don't know where they was jumping and helping.
So, but he was trying to help.
No, because they thought you was getting jumped. So he tried to like pull y'all apart.
I slammed that nigga again.
Hey, you kidding me? This
yeah,
he was like, what the f? I was trying to help.
I was like, he would run through anybody when you used to play. See, I'm just saying, bro, security not gonna hold AB back, bro.
Kidding him in his shit.
He's a unit.
I didn't know who it was. It was a lot of niggas.
A lot of shit going on, bro.
W Van Dan. W Van.
I'm calling that shit down. Where the cheeks at?
We going to the yacht. You wanna come? He said, where the birthday. Oh,
you got some birthday. Hey,
we got the yacht.
Ain't nothing to lose a little skin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I get that shit back.
Oh yeah, it grows right back.
I put a little skin on the ground, come right back.
Yeah. You actually want to come on the yacht with us?
You going on the boat?
I ain't going nowhere. Then why you know?
So he remembers a lot more than he's alluding to initially when he said that he was blacking out, in my opinion. You know, he talks about bodyguard, and again, talking about skin on the ground, and it's going to grow back. I don't think he understands the gravity of what occurred.
Yeah, or he's used to getting away with things too. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times when, you know, people overlook things, even just for everyday people, let alone a famous football player. So, and like I said, he probably has yes men around him, and these guys do look younger than him. So they're probably, you know, more likely to, I mean, he could say, get out of here if they say anything that he doesn't like. So I don't know. I think a lot of that goes with someone's ego, and then they misperceive the room. And that, I think that happens, you know, even without having CTA. So I think that he's kind of like almost using it, like you're saying, it's a little selective. So almost using CTE as an excuse, not realizing that it doesn't really fit in what he's saying right here. However, it does fit in aggressive behavior and him doing something impulsively and not being able to think through it in the way that maybe you or I could in the moment. But this, like what he's saying here, I feel like not so much.
Yeah. Yeah, not so much. And he just kind of walks off the stage at that point. Now, what law enforcement did to capture him, there's officers have spoken about it. Apparently it has to do with some of the things that AB had posted, and we'll watch those real quick, post those, and then we'll get into a different segment, so to speak. But this is what AB's Twitter or X posted earlier today. The law offices of didn't do nothing or nothing. It's a joke to him. I mean, I know this is not him. This is his people. But what do you think about I don't think they can use this against him in court, but it don't look good, right?
No, not at all. And although somebody else does it, right, you could always come out against it and be like, I did not by any means ask anybody to do this. If you did this, please take it down. And he didn't do that. So it's like, it's almost like by default, you know, he doesn't oppose it.
And so when he left, and law enforcement specifically says that these videos are what captured Bryan. I keep wanting to call him Bryan Kohberger. Antonio Brown. I'm just used to saying the damn guy's name. He was out in Dubai, and he was you know, recording himself riding a bicycle. There's a building in the background with a storefront. I mean, obviously you're going to be able to figure out where he's at because of that.
I think that was less than smart. Like, he went somewhere where they're going to extradite him back here. So I think he's like showing off there, and like, shame on him for that.
Oh yeah. I mean, he keeps doing it. I mean, he went to other places in Dubai. This is some spot where a jumping place. And this is him doing his thing on social media. This was on X. And so this really allowed law enforcement to pinpoint where he was at, because immediately after this occurs, he takes off to Dubai. Obviously, in my opinion, well, let me put it this way. In my opinion, to evade law enforcement and the arrest.
Me too. That's why I said he went somewhere where they extradited him right back. Like, he didn't really think that out, I don't think.
I don't think he did. I mean, this one was September 16th. And so this is him getting off. What does the post say? Create capital markets. But you know, you got the helicopter with the number of the helicopter, where that would be easily traceable to try to figure out where it is that it's flying into, where it flew out of, like so many things.
Which is very cocky, right? And we see that even like when he takes his shirt off and leaves, or takes his like shoulder pads off in his shirt and then quits and leaves in the middle of a game. So like, it's very, I don't know, like, he doesn't really, I don't know that he thinks through these decisions. And my thing is like, where are people that care, that are telling him not to do this?
That's a good question. It's a very good question. I think there's I mean, I don't know Antonio Brown or anything like that, but it sounds like the people that, like you mentioned, the people that he surrounded himself around are the yes men type. And so just kind of letting him do whatever he wants and just going with the flow, because they don't want, you know, I'm sure if somebody went against him, he probably didn't react the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Isn't he like, he's arrested now and he's waiting to go back to Florida, right? I think he's in,
Correct.
Is he in Pennsylvania?
He's in Jersey.
New Jersey. I knew he was close.
Yeah. You're going to visit?
I'm going to go visit him. I guess say hi.
You're going to visit him, see if we can get an interview for the show.
Go say hi, see what's up.
Be like, we believe you. So kind of transitioning, there's other players, and we kind of spoke briefly about this, but there's other players who have had CTE. One player that we referenced before, Aaron Hernandez. He's a guy that's kind of more recent, had some very serious charges. He was charged and for murder in a couple of different situations throughout while he was an NFL player for the New England Patriots. He ended up not getting convicted because he ended up committing. He took his own life in the cell before those charges could be before he could be adjudicated, and so he's only been ever charged. And the rules out there in Massachusetts are that if you die waiting charges or things of that nature, then they go away. Mm-hmm. And so regardless of anything, he'll and I think that a lot of people said that was part of the motivation, was because I think that something to do with his NFL money going to his family versus to his daughter and things like that.
Yeah.
But you think you've told me, we've talked about this, and you said that there's some similarities here.
So that was the first thing I noticed, was the similarities when I first started looking into this. And I said to you, I'm like, is this like not similar to Aaron Hernandez? So I went and looked into it more, and you and my husband both said no, but then I'm like, something kept pulling me towards it. And I'm like, no, yes, like I see the similarities, even though one, you know, it's attempted murder, the other one. But to me, it's like tomato. I don't know. I feel like we're saying the exact same thing over again. Like even the affiliation, like with Aaron Hernandez, not that he's in a gang, I'm not saying that, but he was affiliating himself with people. Was he? Okay. I didn't want to like say anything that I didn't know for sure. But then over here, we see this guy hanging out right now. I didn't see that video before. And he's hanging out with people that didn't he say that that's like a gang like thing or no? Did I hear it wrong?
No, that wasn't a gang. One person I think was a boxer, was a celebrity boxer. The other
Oh, got you. So this group was just younger people.
They were just younger people that were there that invited him to come out. I think one guy, he's just gotten famous on YouTube for a bunch of different things, but what he was doing with Antonio Brown earlier, they were watching Antonio Brown highlights. And so that's kind of what his stick was with him. I'm not familiar with him, so I don't know like the ins and outs of his channel. But to me, the differences between Aaron Hernandez and Antonio Brown was Antonio Brown's situation was one of a moment that went awry. And with Aaron Hernandez, he was more involved in criminal activity. He was
that's that we know of. Like that's that we know of. So
right.
like we don't know. There could be a bunch of other things that eventually come out, or that, you know, things that we don't know of yet. A lot of what we know about Aaron Hernandez, a lot of us didn't find out until after he was already gone. So I mean, most people, like you did because you were in the football world, but a lot of people didn't even know about it, especially about CTE, until he was already gone. So
right.
So I think that that's an important, I mean, but I see so many similarities. And I think that if this guy would have gotten away with this, think about it. Aaron Hernandez supposedly got away with a lot of things before he eventually gets caught. This guy happens to get caught sooner. So had he not have been so braggadocious, if you will, even though Aaron Hernandez gets caught by his own surveillance cameras in his house. So it's like, I don't know how much thought really goes into this, which makes me think even more that both of them are very impulsive. They both have mood instabilation. They have the inability to regulate their emotions. So I see emotional dysregulation, memory loss. Like I see so many similarities here. So even though their stories might be different, the symptomology to me is clearly similar.
Yeah, no, I think your view of it is correct. And you know, I was just kind of saying when we were talking about the differences is that, you know, with Aaron Hernandez, there's also some other things that were going on in his life. He had a same-sex relationship with a couple of different guys that he was trying to keep, what it sounded like he was trying to keep hidden and a secret. He also had a lifestyle that involved gangs and things of that nature since he was very young. Now, Antonio Brown, as he mentioned in the video, came from a very, you know, he's representing a city, saying something in a manner that would talk about the gangs that come from that city. So you're absolutely right. There's a good possibility there that there are things that we just don't know about Antonio's background that could be there that haven't been present yet. Now, Aaron Hernandez apparently had been accused of doing some other things that weren't discovered until afterwards. I think there was a double homicide that they were looking at him while he was in college too. The age of these two guys are different.
A little bit, but Aaron Hernandez, if you pull up my slides, I have it right on there, and that's what the whole slideshow is.
All right, how do I pull them up?
Oh, wait, I could do it. I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot I could do it. Excuse me.
Oh,
okay. Can you guys see it? Or no, wait, do you have to put it on stage?
Yeah, I did. There you go.
There you go. All right, perfect. So wait, let me make it a little bit smaller so we can see the whole thing. Okay, so we have Aaron Hernandez. So I wanted to compare the two. So first, Aaron Hernandez, he's a former NFL player. He played tight end, which I think is important to mention that they played different, they had different positions, and that also plays a role. Wasn't he convicted, or wasn't he convicted and then it was, what did you say it was again? Because now I'm confused. Was he not convicted in the end, right?
He was not convicted. They were going through trial, I believe, and it was I don't know. I don't remember if he was found guilty, but it was before it was finalized or whatever. Or if it
yes,
was
I do remember that.
Something of that nature. Yeah.
Yeah. So I might have to go back and correct this part right here. But right, so we still have the same type of crime here, but he died by taking his own life at 27. He was diagnosed with after he dies with stage 3, which is chronic CTE. His brain damage, he had brain damage to his frontal lobe, which was the part for impulse control, problem solving. And these things aren't done developing until you're 25. So he was only 27. And then the hippocampus, which is a part of the brain that houses your memory. So things like memory loss are going to also be prevalent. Then his behavior was linked to aggression, mood instability, and impulsivity. For Antonio Brown, he's a former NFL wide receiver. He's an all-pro athlete turned controversial figure. He was recently jailed for the attempted murder charge, and he has a history of erratic, impulsive, and aggressive behavior, both on and off the field. It's possible, but it's unconfirmed, CTE due to repetitive head trauma. If at any point you want to stop me on anything, just let me know. If not, I'll just go through this like I'm teaching. The comparison, Hernandez versus Brown. So both faced repeated head trauma from professional football. Hernandez was confirmed stage 3 CTE because he gave his brain to research, so we were able to study it. Where with Brown, we have no confirmed diagnosis, so it's just suspected. Hernandez led to murder and taking his life versus Brown's, which is an ongoing legal chaos. Then we have Brown's breakdowns are public via social media. Hernandez was hidden until he was already gone. I think this is a huge part of this. This is a huge piece. So Brown has social media. I'm wondering if social media had been a bigger part of society and stuff for Hernandez, like around in his time, if that would have changed things any different. And of course, I'm interested in that because I did a study on media in social media messages and identity.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Okay.
you know, I got a question though. So it attacks the frontal lobe and it attacks in a similar manner as Alzheimer's. Why is it not detectable while they're alive?
So I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor, so I really don't know the answer to that. But I do know that I think there are certain things that they could see in scans, but the part of the brain that they need to see to confirm CTE, they can't yet find on a scan. So it doesn't mean that in 10 years they won't be able to. It's just right now they can't. There's nothing, I mean, that can confirm it, but you can see damage and stuff. So there are other things that could support some of it, but not a diagnosis. And that's what I thought was, you know, that was a crazy part today. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's still so much that has to be done on how to detect it while someone's alive so that they can give care.
Now, given the amount of symptoms that somebody could cross off looking at Antonio Brown's history of social media antics, because I mean, yes, you know, point example, Aaron Hernandez was hidden, so we don't know anything. Antonio Brown's wasn't. Can his defense use all these things and say, hey, we may not be able to diagnose him today because of the fact that he's, you know, this is only diagnosable through, you know, actually removing the brain and physically looking at it. But the symptoms across the board match that this man needs this, you know, help. And do you think that he has a defense here?
So this is the thing I wrote here. Public narratives should separate accountability from pathology. So you could say if you look at someone, you know what I mean, that is not guilty by reason of insanity, it's like they still need to be in an institution. And I'm not comparing that here. What I'm saying is that you can have mental illness and it not have anything to do with whether you broke the law or not. Now, once you get either, like, let's say somebody gets convicted, then these things can come in to mitigate what the punishment should be. But as far as, you know, I think we need to separate accountability from pathology. You want me to finish this part real quick? There's only a couple left.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so psychological perspective. There's damage to the frontal lobe, which disrupts judgment, emotional regulation, and moral reasoning. So that's a big one. Athletes experience what we call identity foreclosure, which is when you tie your self-worth to performance and fame. So this is 1 out of 4 identity phases. Public downfall, activate shame, paranoia, and impulsive coping behaviors. So that's a big one. It's like, what happens after football? You know what I mean? So we have to have something there that we can help with. Identity, media exposure, and neurological trauma collide. And I wrote the word collide on purpose, so pun is intended, for many athletes. And then we have here ethical and clinical takeaways. Correlation does not equal causation, just meaning that just because two things relate, it doesn't mean that one causes the other. So CTE may contribute, but doesn't cause excuse behavior. So that's what you were saying before. Mental health intervention for athletes must include identity reconstruction. So looking at things like, what else are you interested other than football? So, because football only lasts so long. After that, what is it? Do you want to be a commentator? Do you want to have your own business? Like, what is it you're passionate about so that you have an identity outside there? You don't want to peak at 26 years old and then have nothing from there. You know what I mean? So you want to keep that going. And then encourage proactive neuropsychological screening in contact sports. So that was the thing I was talking about before. There are certain things that we could see, and this is some of the statistics I found. So we could see some of these things, but we can't diagnose CTE yet. So I thought this was crazy. And you guys, I have all of these things. These are all of the references or the citations. So a large study out of Boston University found that they tested 376 former NFL players, and of them, 345, 91.7%, were found to have CTE pathology. That's a huge number, almost 92%. However, I always tell my students, think critical. This sample is highly biased, in my opinion, because the donor are people that usually have symptoms. So somebody like him who thinks that he has CTE, he's going to be more likely to donate his brain to a brain bank when he dies than maybe somebody else who's just been, playing football their whole lives, but maybe they're not, nobody really thinks about it beforehand. So I think we need to keep that in mind.
How different are the stages? So like you mentioned with Aaron Hernandez having stage 3, is there a huge difference between somebody with stage 3 versus stage 1?
There is. So stage 1, you have small spots on the brain and you have subtle symptoms. So you might have headaches, problems with attention. In stage 2, you have mood swings and you see more impulsivity and even depression. So I can't remember the show for the life of me, but there was an NFL player on it. It was like one of the Housewives shows, but it wasn't Housewives. And her husband was an NFL player. And he started to have these depression, mood swings, impulsivity. And he too started to attach it to, oh my gosh, do I have CTE? So I think at stage 2, a lot of athletes start to, and their loved ones start to wonder, because in stage 1, you might be like, oh, I have headaches. That could be stress. Or attention, oh, I could have ADHD. But once you get to stage 2 and you start having mood swings, impulsivity, and depression, it starts to interfere with daily functioning. And that's usually when people start to get help or seek help. At stage 3, this is where it gets a little bit more extensive and it starts to eat away at your frontal lobe and even your temporal lobe, which is behind the brain. But it leads to things like aggression, an inability to think the way that you used to, and even paranoia. Paranoia is a big one at stage 3. And then at stage 4, which is the most severe, this is when you have the dementia-like symptoms. So this is where there's major behavioral and emotional dysregulation. And this is where we see a lot of these things that you can't come back from.
Yeah. Now, this different stages that you're referring to, do you start off at stage 1 and does it continually get worse? Or is it like, all right, you're at stage 1. If you stop taking hits, it'll no longer get worse? Is it like the more hits you take, the worse it gets?
The more hits you take, the worse it gets. And it's a progressive neurodegeneration. So it gets worse over years. The problem is a lot of these guys aren't living to their 80s and 90s. So, I mean, that says something in itself, right? So it is a degenerative disease, which means that it gets worse over time. Could the speed of it be different for others? I'm not really sure. I don't know if anybody knows that, but I do know that it's from the cumulative effect of a ton of minor hits. They start to rewire the way that your brain pathways are. So think of like the different like in your brain, it starts to, I don't know what else to say for that. It starts to rewire that in a way that's impulsive and moody and even lacking moral reasoning. You could have been the most moral person. And people even say like, you know, I see personality changes. So that's a big one. And I think we see this in a lot of people that wind up having CTE.
Man, it sounds dangerous.
Yeah. And people could just look at this stuff over here. But I think the big one here was that 25% reported wanting to take their lives. And that's huge, right? So, and that's among the people that perceive that they have CTE, which he is one of them. So he perceives himself to have it. And then this is the last one. So the key takeaway here is, you guys, you can only diagnose this after somebody is gone. So we have to rely on generous athletes that are like, oh, here, you could donate my brain for research. I think that leads, the statistics are strongly influenced here then by selection bias, because these brains are coming from families who suspected the problem to begin with. And then in a recent study, 345 of 376 former NFL players had CTE. This, however, I just want to go over this slide because it tells people to think critically. So this is in this study sample and cannot be generalizable to other NFL players. So so people need to remember that, you know, there's a population, but this was just of the sample that was studied, and they don't know that they're able to generalize it to everyone. And then the survey of perceived CTE, so the people who think that they have it, 34% of former players believe they have the disease. This does not equal diagnosis. However, I did find a positive correlation between CTE and mental health risk, like taking your own life. And then finally, the duration of the exposure, so years of playing or the cumulative hits, appears to be associated with higher risk or severity of CTE. And that's what you were just asking. The more hits you get, you know, are you at greater risk? And you are. And that is my slideshow.
It seems like I learned a lot. Hold on, I got to sneeze really bad.
Do it. Hopefully
it went away. It went away.
Oh, I hate when that happens, right?
So, I mean, it's obviously it's a very serious, dangerous thing. There's been a lot of NFL players that have taken their own life. I think Junior Seau was another one who had tested his brain afterwards, and he ended up having it as well. Scary stuff. It's very, very dangerous, which is why there's so many rules and so many things that are going on in the NFL today that have changed things so that it's more safer. You know, I know a lot of people say this isn't the same NFL or the same football that we grew up with, or things of that nature. And to a certain extent, they're true and right. But this is for the safety. You know, players now are bigger, stronger, faster than they ever been, and that's going to continue to, you know, happen with, you know, science and nutrition and everything else, you know, becoming more and more advanced. People in athletics and pro athletes and high performance athletes are going to be more and more advanced themselves with proper nutrition and things like that. So you have to account for those things as well.
Yes.
You know, another player who I think a lot of people are attributing possibly having CTE is Brett Favre. And he's gotten himself into some legal issues where he took money from, I believe it was like Medicare, to fund a volleyball stadium court for his daughter's college. And he got busted. And a lot of people are trying, I think he's using this as a defense as well, saying that he didn't know what he was getting into.
And that's the problem with not being able to diagnose it yet until after someone's gone, because it's like, how can you say that the person doesn't have it?
That's true.
So I could even see, like, if I was a defense attorney, I would be like, well, we're going the CTE route. Even if my client might not have had it, because it's my job to try to provide the best defense I can.
Exactly. And I mean, with some of these guys, there's like Antonio Brown, like I was mentioning, there's documented instance after instance, public instance as evidence to this guy perhaps having CTE, and it not being a situation where he's, you know, just taking advantage of it. Although he's a great marketer. I mean, he's marketed it. He's used it for his advantage every time he's done something wild. whether it's been, you know, exposing himself or throwing the gummy bears or anything like that. He's said, oh, you know, it's my CTE, it's my CTE acting up. And so it kind of almost like the boy that cries wolf kind of, you know, the situation here where he's always blaming his CTE, that he may have actually had a CTE episode, but because he's always blaming it.
That's,
you know
the
what I mean?
problem, right? Yes, that's the problem with it too, is that if you use it for everything, then if you ever really need it, people might not believe it that time. And somebody else made a good point, and I think this was to your question that you were asking. Even after somebody stops getting hit, the brain still, like with dementia, continues to progressively deteriorate. At least those areas of the brain.
That's scary.
Ooh, people said, do you think OJ might have had it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the rules were different back then. You know, I strongly suspect those that played in the early years, maybe not so much with the leather helmets. And the reason why I say that is because the leather helmets, for one, back in that day, the athletes weren't the athletes of today. So the collisions aren't as violent. Two, kind of like with rugby, they don't have as many collisions because they're not wearing helmets. So they're not, you know, diving in there head first, you know, without a helmet on. And so they're more, you know, conscientious of where they're placing their head when they're tackling and things of that nature. But in the 60s and 70s, 80s, oh, heck yeah. I mean, those guys were, I mean, getting knocked out cold and then going back into the game.
Yeah.
You know, the way different time. Do either of you think or know if CTE has or can be used as a defense in court, considering it can't be diagnosed until after passing? I don't know. I think we're going to find out with this case. I think he's going to use it for this one for sure. We're going to find out how far that goes. What do you think?
I think we need to see, are there any other cases? And if they do use it, in my opinion, at least as of right now, that it would be used more for a mitigating thing after somebody was found guilty of something as a reason why their behavior might have been the way that it was. And maybe try to show that, you know, I mean, people have to remember to be in the NFL, you have to do a lot. Like, you have to be a pretty outstanding like, you have to, you know, graduate high school, you know, go to college, keep good grades. Like, there's a lot that it goes into that. You have to have self-discipline, stuff of that nature. So it's like, there's a clear difference in the person that used to be and the person that is today. So I think that, you know, we need to look at this as a whole and see how we can prevent it so that it doesn't even get to the point of where we need to use it in the court of law.
Well, yeah, I agree.
But it's still going to be used because people still have it. Absolutely.
That, and I mean, with Antonio Brown, he was a 6th-round draft pick for a reason. It wasn't because of his talent. His talent was there. It's because of the off-field issues. It was because some of the background stuff that, you know, they were concerned about. Now, early on in his career, he was, you know, as a Pittsburgh Steeler, he was what you wanted in a player. Now, from what I've heard from, you know, watching and covering the NFL and the Steelers over the years, I think it was Ryan Clark had a story about that after Antonio Brown got paid. So you get a rookie contract. Your rookie contract is only X amount of money. Now, your second contract, if you're good, you can get the bag. And that's what happened with Antonio Brown. He got a significant amount of money, and then it was after he got paid is when the antics began.
Yeah, he got 30 million, lost 30 million when he quit, and then I forget what happened, but he lost 30 million. Then he gets another contract for 15 million. So my thing is, where's the responsibility? Like, didn't anybody, like, he already had bad behavior at this point. So I feel like there were a lot of people that were willing to just, which no wonder why he feels entitled. There were so many people that probably turned a blind eye because he was a good player.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, so yeah, that was after his Steelers career. The Steelers traded him to the Vegas Raiders, but before that, about halfway into his career is when he got paid with the Steelers, and they gave him a good amount of money. And that's when the antics began within the Steelers organization. Now, from what I understand, you know, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers organization were able to keep a lot of the antics under wraps, you know, keep that behind closed doors. It didn't get out until he became too much of a headache. and they ended up trading him for a third and a fifth. A lot of people thought that was, especially in Steelers Nation, we all thought that was a little low. We thought that Antonio Brown could have gotten a lot more. Little did we know that was a steal because he didn't make it with his next team. And so, that's when everything started going nuts. He ended up staying with Tom Brady, and then
he tried to like become not responsible for him, but like tried to help him. And, but I think what people don't realize is that you can want to help somebody, I think Tom Brady meant well, but I feel like he almost set himself up for failure because, somebody with possible CTE, it's hard to really keep them under wraps once they get to a place. Like, I don't think this guy was able to tell him exactly what to do.
Well, Tom Brady allowed him to stay at his place. Brady starts going through a divorce thing, and Antonio Brown just like starts really digging at Brady, kind of alluding to a relationship with his wife.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's done some pretty insane things, over the years.
So that shows that decrease in moral judgment too. So the fact that somebody would even want to go after someone's spouse and then brag about it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. And he was doing it while Brady was playing still. And, I guess he blamed him for not keeping him on the Buccaneers. I don't know. He ended up taking his clothes off during the game and walking crazy. Off. It wasn't Brady who did that.
No, and he winds up like throwing his shirt and his gloves and everything out to like everybody's like cheering him on. But that's another problem, right? Is that everybody cheers him on, or I think it's so like out there behavior that people want to see. It's like we don't want to look away, but at the same time, is that then positively reinforcing bad behavior?
Yeah, it probably is. And then
it's kind of like when a little kid. It's kind of like when a little kid drops something and says, "Oh shit," and we all laugh because it's hysterically funny, and we know that they got it from you or the other parent. But at the same time, the more you laugh at it, the more the kid's going to say it because you laughed, and they're like, "Oh, that was funny. Let me do it again." That same type of thing happens with adults as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. But so how do you see this playing out? Do you think, except? I know we talked about this being a defense. If there's anybody that's going to be able to mount, make this a possibility for a defense, is going to be Antonio Brown. He's got the money. He's got the lawyers that he's going to be able to bring in that are going to really push to have this CTE as a defense. Given the lawyers that he's potentially going to be able to bring to the table, do you think it'll work? I think there's a good chance it will. Given the fact that the victim didn't die, I think that probably helps out the case. I think that if the victim did pass away, I think that would be another scenario. But given the fact that the victim didn't die,
well, you could also say though that the fact that the victim didn't die, the victim can now speak. And from what I've heard, I heard one. I'll have to send it to you, but I heard like one short interview with the victim, and I don't think this was like the first time they've come across each other. So there was like history there. So I feel like this guy being able to testify against him is going to be an issue in itself, which is, this guy should be able to talk for himself. But I mean, I don't know that that's a good thing for him because now this guy gets to tell a story.
Right, but I mean, if I'm Antonio Brown's defense attorney, I'm like, hey, you got history with Antonio Brown. This is a place that he was scheduled to be at. Why are you there? If you have a problem,
that's true too. That is true.
I mean, I'd be attacking this guy's credibility. I'd be attacking his background. I'd be attacking his motives across the board. And I mean, I know little about the guy. I don't know anything at all about him, to be honest with you. But if there was some history there and he's at a scheduled event where Antonio Brown was supposed to be at, yeah, he has every right to be there. But, Antonio Brown is stating that he got jumped and that this guy attempted to rob him. I know that the criminal element aspect of it, but, the defense attorney's job is to make that person look like the bad guy. So that way the jury, who in their mind, maybe perhaps are looking at things like, man, this guy got jumped. They try to rob him. They try to take his chain and stuff, more so than, you know, looking at the other guy as the bad guy versus Antonio Brown retrieving the gun after the fact and then taking shots at him. You know, that's going to be the direction that the defense attorney is going to want to go at, in my opinion.
There is cameras. I think that's going to go against him too. I mean, I don't know about you, but I literally saw him grab that from somebody else. Like, he grabs it and runs.
I agree.
And then like 30 seconds later, not even, you hear the gun go off. So what's the probability? It's kind of like if we went outside right now and our cars are wet, we would assume that it rained.
Right. But I mean, even
what do you say? Don't piss on me. And what is it? Don't piss on me.
Don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. No, I understand that, but that's the part of the lawyer's job, right? There are cases out there that have been won by making the officer or whoever look like the monster, right? Because that's what the jury can be swayed in that manner. You know, a lot of cases in Massachusetts are about to get reversed or have some issues because of what's going on with Trooper Proctor. He was the one that was responsible, in my opinion, for why Karen Reed got off on her trial. There was so much evidence against her. There was more evidence against her than there was against Bryan Kohberger and so many others. But because of his actions, his shadiness, and the words that he said about her and all this other stuff, she got off. Now, there are other cases that are now trying to use some of the same tactics that Karen Reed used and are going to be successful, in my opinion. One of them being Brian Welsh, who is being charged with dismembering his wife and taking her life. And I kind of called this. You know, when all these folks were kind of pointing out that Karen Reed was innocent because of this or that, and I said, you know, the officer said some negative things, and he's got to reap what he sowed. You know, he made his bed. Now he's going to lay in it. He shouldn't have said those things. Officers are held to a higher standard, and he shouldn't have done what he did. But don't be surprised when other persons who were arrested by this man start utilizing the same tactics to try to get off. And it appears that's going to be the case.
Especially because they use the other cases as precedents and stuff. That's what they argue. So you're absolutely right.
I mean, look at the one that's happening with Charlie Kirk right now, where he's being allowed to utilize civilian clothing during his pretrial stuff because he's not been convicted. What Bryan Kohberger was allowed to do, who, you know, he started the trend. Now, I for one don't think for certain any more high-profile crimes we'll ever see a defendant wearing an orange jumpsuit in a hearing before they're convicted from here forward. And I'm not necessarily against that. You know, they are innocent until proven guilty. You know, that is a right. So I'm not.
My friend was murdered when we were 29. I'm 47, and the defendants back then, there was 4 of them, and they were allowed to wear clothes. Like, it was a motion, and the judge granted them to wear clothes. So when they came in, they were not in their jumpsuit.
And that was the pretrial before the jury was selected.
Oh, I think so. But you know what? Let me go back and check that out.
Because during the trial, during the time when the jury is there, because when the jury is there, for sure, you know, the jury, the jumpsuit can make them look guilty to the jury. The argument was with Bryan Kohberger was that the jury trial hadn't started yet. Who is he tainting by wearing, you know, a suit? You know, what jury is being tainted now because of cameras in the courtroom and things of that nature nowadays? I guess you can taint the jury from, you know, a modern way of tainting a jury through media. I think that's what they're referring to nowadays. But yeah, it was referencing the pretrial motions and hearings. Now, once they go to trial and there's a jury selected and things of that nature, yeah, that's been kind of common. But the pretrial stuff has not been, and I think that's going to be a difference from now on.
Yeah, I think I can't wait to look into that to see, because I don't think I was making that connection, but that's true, right? But even with a lot of the defendants, like, if you take notice, not even just wearing regular clothes, but they'll do things like lower the defendant's chair. Like, Kohberger was 6'2" or whatever, or 6 foot or whatever, and he looked like he was 4'11" in the chair because they put him all the way down, and Anne put hers all the way up so that So I feel like there's a lot of optics. And like you said, that's the way of tainting a jury nowadays through media.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know somebody asked me if I watched the trial. Yeah, 100%. I did watch the Karen Reed trial.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the evidence that was against her was like, for instance, there was the vehicle going reverse at 24 miles an hour just before his phone stops moving for the last time. A lot of people indicate that he was going up and down some stairs, but that was while he was in the vehicle with Karen Reed. And there was a test done by Cellbrite that indicated that the movement of having the phone on your lap while going up and down different hills will make it appear that you're doing steps. But they were able to correlate that with the time frame using a lot of different things. They used the lock screens. They utilized also his face lock. They used his heart rate or the temperature also of the battery and things of that nature. And then, you know, a lot of people would say, well, he must have gone inside, but they don't correlate how did he get back outside? Like nobody's ever, you know, everybody that says that John O'Keefe went inside that house and was killed inside the house can say how he got back outside, because his footsteps and everything stopped happening outside of that house. Now, if somebody wanted to argue that he got beat up outside, you know, Karen Reed left, and before he made entry into the house, he got beat up outside, then, you know, you might be able to make that argument. But to say that he went inside and utilized time frames from when he was inside Karen Reed's car can't account for how he got back outside. And not to mention, I have video that shows that her taillight is broken, and even the defense isn't arguing that the taillight is broken when she's backing out of John O'Keefe's, out of his garage. Also, you know, one thing you have to take into consideration when she's backing out is that it's already snowing, and supposedly this tap that she does against John O'Keefe's car is what creates the broken, shattered taillight. But yet there's not a piece of taillight that's visible in the white snow. Not at all. Anything, yet you can see a lot of the other things that are much smaller than what the taillight was broken. You know, not to mention that the vehicle was parked inside of the garage, you know, free from the elements and things of that nature. So it wasn't parked outside where somebody else could have hit it or things like that. The part that a lot of people were referring to, that was the corner part that was supposedly visible from the video, isn't that part. It's actually part of the tailgate on the inside part. I have like a huge folder on this because I looked at it. Now, to me, I just look at the evidence. That's solely what I look at. I agree that Proctor's words and everything that he said, you know, alluded to some certain things. But when you look at just the facts and the evidence of her vehicle traveling 24 miles per hour in reverse, the fact that his phone stops moving seconds, I think milliseconds after that, for the last time, and doesn't move until 6 o'clock in the morning, kind of should say a lot of things right there. You know, but hey, I accept the I guess the judgment. You know, Casey Anthony, OJ Simpson, they've all got, you know, it's been wrong before. In this scenario, you know, you had a guy who, in my opinion, you had Proctor in an investigation where, you know, this lady killed a cop, and this guy had some choice words for her. You know, I'll be honest with you guys. I arrested a dude who had sexually assaulted his 6-year-old daughter and his 7-year-old stepdaughter. And I had some words about my opinions about him weren't great. You know, Proctor's words were, you know, I probably didn't say anything like, I hope he kills himself or anything like that, like Proctor said about Karen Reed, which again, main reason why he got off, or she got off, in my opinion. But you know, I didn't think highly of him. I didn't say what I told my friends about him and things about him. Probably, I guess I would have gotten in trouble too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
yeah, I do. That was well said. I didn't follow the case that much, so I don't have too much to add to it.
Yeah, I mean, I even had a video that I had pulled up and I showed everybody of a vehicle that went that somebody put in reverse. I think it was like in like it wasn't in a foreign country. I think it may have been Asia, somewhere like Japan or China or somewhere. And the vehicle goes back and it hits a person walking on the side of the road, and it flings them sideways and it spins them in a circle. And a lot of people kept saying, like, well, what does this look like? Because the crazy thing is, like, I didn't watch the first trial. I was like, I just want to look at the evidence that's available. And I went through the evidence that was available, and without looking at the trial, just whatever I could find of evidence. And I did have to look at some parts of the trial, but I tried to stay away from the theatrics. And it's crazy because, like, my thoughts about what occurred, how the vehicle hit him, how his body turned and spun away and where it landed. I mean, I was able to do that and say all that before the second trial. When they brought up the recreation guys on both sides, I thought it was pretty obvious of what occurred. But hey, I think there was one lady who was a juror who claims that she didn't know anything about anything, and then, like, within minutes after the trial was over, was following all the pro Karen Reed individuals on Twitter, created a Twitter account before she left the courtroom and started following all of the everybody else. And 24 seconds, not milliseconds. Well, I mean, you're not accounting for the margin of error. That's like the maximum it could have been, was 24 seconds. But even if he waited inside, Christy Edwards, how did he get back outside? Because his phone was found underneath of him, and it was never moved again. You know, if you find a phone underneath the body, if there's no steps that are accounted for after that 24 seconds, did he teleport outside? Because that's what would have had to have occurred. He would have had to have teleported outside for him to have been outside with the phone underneath his body. Just doesn't make any sense. The math ain't mathing there. It just,
I don't know the case well enough to really have an opinion on it. I mean, what you said sounds right, but I don't know, like, both sides to even be able to. But what you said, I mean, if that's the case, then yes, that sounds about right.
I mean, like I said, there are some things that are unidentifiable or undeniable facts. The unidentifiable fact in that case is that the movement of the phone stops shortly after she goes in reverse. And if he went inside, it's impossible for his phone to have ended up outside. The temperatures that were associated with the phone, so as if like, for instance, if he would have accidentally dropped it outside, went inside, then got knocked back and knocked out, then just so happened to be brought outside and placed on top of his phone. If that would have been the case, there was tests that would have shown that the phone would have dropped in temperature a lot faster. But because his body was on top of his phone dropped quickly, but not as quickly as if it was outside by itself. It would have dropped within minutes, and it didn't do that. It was a prolonged drop. And so, yeah, there's some undeniable facts in that case that lead in one direction that make me believe that somebody got away with killing someone.
A lot of people think that.
Yeah. No, there was a few people that thought about that. There's a lot of people that don't, though. She had a
well, that's
lot
what I mean. A lot of people think that someone got away with. Yeah. Someone got away with it. But you're right. A lot of people think that the other side as well. That one was a big, like, divide.
No, and I don't think you're attacking me at all, Christy. I just wanted to kind of explain that because I do get that a lot. Like, oh, what about oh girl? Because I thought she was guilty. I still do. I think she hit him. Now, do I know if it's murder? Could it have been, her being drunk because she drank? I mean, she admitted to drinking 9 shots. Like, they used her own voice against her. And she was like, yeah, I mean, I may have had 9 shots, but was it really that bad? I had this one, and then they put a triple in that one, but it was really weak, so I put another shot in it. And I'm just like, it's outstanding how she was able to like the things that she said. Like, the first thing that they played was because she left voicemail saying, John, I effing hate you. And like all these like tremendous amount of voicemails over and over again that night. What I ended up finding out, and I don't know if this is out in the civil thing. What I ended up finding out was that, and I kind of called it, and that's kind of why the information was divulged to me, was that there was a possibility that when she knew she went in reverse, and she knew she hit him, but she thought that he had punched the car and broke the taillight. She didn't know she flung him into the street. She just knew that something happened. And that's why she called him "I effing hate you," because she sees the damage to the car. And then as the night progresses, she starts to panic, and she starts saying all these other crazy things. And where are you? And what are you doing? Like, one of the things she says is like, no one knows where you are at. But that's before she called anybody else. Like, how would she know that nobody knows where he's at if she saw him go in the house? And she changed her story multiple times. You have to look at it, Dr. Vona.
Yeah, I will.
She changes her story so many times. So many times. The first time she says that that he was walking up to the door, and that she looks down, and that she never saw him go into the house. And then an interview later, she saw him cross the threshold. And so it's like, come on now. She's changed her story. She's lied multiple times. At the end of the day, in my opinion, I think it's because she's a pretty face, and a lot of people can't think that she would do these things, even though seems pretty crazy.
That happens all the time.
Yeah, that's something that you should talk about, like. Because with,
I'll look into it.
Like Ted Bundy, a lot of people didn't believe that he did what he did because I guess a lot of people found him attractive. Yeah,
it's like the superficial charm of narcissism.
Yeah. Well, doctor, what do you have going on next? I know Tuesday we're going to talk about one case. What else do you have going on?
Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about a case. We don't know which one yet, but I don't know. I'm sure I'll come on before then. I usually come on either Sunday or Monday, but I'm not exactly sure with what yet. So just come and it'll be a surprise.
There you go.
How about you?
I'm going to be back on tomorrow night. I'm probably going to talk about Melody Buzzard, just kind of give everybody my opinion about what's going on there. Sunday is the Steelers game. They play at night. And so I'll probably, if I do anything, it'll be earlier throughout the day. That's a big if. And so I'll be back tomorrow night. Mondays, I talk about the Steelers on a channel called Steel Curtain Network, and on an episode called the Steelers Hangover. And so you can check me out there. We'll be talking about the post game, but I'll be back on the DT show Tuesday night with you. I think we're going to talk a little bit about Melody Buzzard, maybe perhaps Bryan Kohberger. There's a lot of things that we need to talk about. I think there's even been some movement in the David case.
Yes, we should do like an update on all of the things.
There you go. Well, thank you, Dr. Vona. Make sure you go check out The Minds Behind True Crime with Dr. Vona. Link is in the description. And if you're watching this on Dr. Vona's channel,
I was going to say, I was waiting for you to stop so I could say, and go check out the Drunk Turkey Show. If you're on my channel, like, subscribe, do all the things.
Yes. And you guys have a nice night. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll talk later. Peace out.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.